9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What up, y'all? Happy Friday. Back to back today. We just did LFG, and now we're doing WWT live. So many things to talk about, and I'm not alone. She's been doing like double, triple duty. I don't know how she does it in this hot weather, because all I really want to do is sip some mimosas, and mimosas will be by the pool. But we're here. The PR princess herself is also with me, Courtney Rice.
I don't know how I do it, but I'm just milking this all in. It's been a busy week. After SummerSlam, we have SmackDown tonight. So much is happening, and there's a lot more wrestling in August.
There's just not more wrestling in general with everything that's going on, but it's not just the two of us. We actually have a special guest. She is Mrs. New York American 2024, an MC, a mentor, a cat mom. Please welcome Victoria Waco.
Yeah.
Oops, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the show and all the shenanigans.
I love it all. So I'm so ready for it. And of course, I did have to be themed with a Cody Rhodes t-shirt.
Oh my God.
It is the first down since he's champion again.
Oh, Dion's not even here. One of our co-hosts, Dion's, is a huge Cody fan.
There it is. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your wrestling journey, your wrestling arc story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a wrestling fan. I'm aging myself way back since SummerSlam 94. So I think SummerSlam always will have a special place for me. I was a little kid, and for a little kid, when you tell me that there are two men who are both the Undertakers, and they're going to face each other to figure out who the real Undertaker was. This is a true storyline that was kind of picked on after it happened. But to my little kid heart, I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. And I would say wrestling was my escapism as a kid. It was this crazy world with giants, and the good guy always wins at some point, right, in every storyline. And I just fell in love with it. Watched all through, into high school, never gave it up. I was an Attitude Era kid. Amazing we survived it. And then have always just stayed involved with the product on the side, even if I wasn't actively watching it. And a couple of years ago, right the lead up to WrestleMania 39, I just remembered why I love it, right? We all had that moment where we're like, oh, this is why we love this. It's so cool. And ever since then, my poor husband did not know he was marrying a huge pro wrestling fan, and luckily has, kind of gone on this journey with me, and always says he doesn't like wrestling. He's like, I'm not a fan. But then every once in a while, he gets really invested in something. He was really invested in Cody's championship at 40. He was yelling at the TV, you didn't win the Royal Rumble to The Rock. I'm not. I was like, all right. Did you really? And he's like, don't say anything. I'm like, I'm just
wait. So he was definitely invested in Cody finishing his story then.
He was, and we were at WrestleMania 40, and as much as he is the guy who wants to leave as soon as the final pin, right, get out the door quickly because it's so crazy getting out of those arenas, I was crying. I was so happy, and he was like, you can stay as long as you want. So we got to see the whole victory. But my funny part of that whole thing was I never got to see The Undertaker wrestle live as a kid. That was one of the things I never got to see. We just never had the money to go to a live show. And when the gong hit at WrestleMania 40 and the lights went off, and I lost every loving piece of me. And my husband had no clue why. He's like, what does that mean? Why is everyone screaming? And I'm like, Undertaker. It was just I became 7 years old again in that moment, and I was not the only one. around me who did.
There, yeah, that was that Philly, right?
Yeah, that was Philly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's Honey and I went to that one. Yeah, Honey and I was. Yeah, that was crazy. That was definitely crazy. Well, welcome aboard. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. First, we're gonna get into Jonathan Gresham. He revealed that he suffered 2 strokes and he's taking time off from wrestling, which is obviously you should. But what do you guys think of this new development? Because he's kind of made I wouldn't say a resurgence, but there was a point where he it was like Jordan Grace kind of took the center stage with TNA, and then he came back and he debuted like a new character. So it's like you were starting to see him everywhere. So, what do you think of this? And, where does he, well, after he takes the time off, where does he go from here? We'll start with Victoria.
Yeah. So I was really shocked. One, to have 2 strokes, that's something major. And, he also has done blood sport. He's done a lot of more intense styles of wrestling. So, you have to wonder what that does to your body long term. But he's younger than me. He's 37 years old. So he has the ability to definitely make a full recovery, I would hope. But it's definitely scary, especially when you have momentum, right? I feel like he was like gaining some momentum again. And to lose that is always really hard. And I think the biggest thing, when you see people come back is they just have to figure out how to reinvent themselves and still stay in contact with the product to not be forgotten.
Yeah. It's a scary situation. So he writes, 2 days ago, I woke up and I couldn't walk or move the left side of my body. I couldn't see and could barely talk. It took me 30 minutes to dial 911, but I finally did, which is like, how scary is that? It's like having an outer body experience with that. So, it is crazy. We are definitely rooting for Jonathan as far as him pulling through and getting through that. You definitely need to take time off for your body. If you were his PR agent, Courtney, and when he came back, how would you put this all together?
It's kind of crazy because he's 3 years younger than me. That's the scary part about it, because he's 37 and I'm 34. And I would probably really think about the health first, because 2 strokes, that's really scary to do. And especially a lot of people don't know the hard side when it comes to wrestling, because people break their bones, they have health issues and have to overcome that. So that's something to really think about. And also don't want to put a derail on it, but just really think about the life outside of wrestling. Your family, your friends, your loved one, your wife. I'm sure his wife will probably say something similar, but it's really something of thinking life outside of wrestling. And maybe if everything is good to go, possibly come back to the ring. But also I would not think of other avenues that could deal with wrestling. He could be a backstage producer, which I think he's probably done before previously. He could help out in the back, or he could help out with training or something similar, because I've seen some wrestlers pivot to other things where their body can take up so much health wise. So that's something to really think about options. If being in the ring is not something you want to consider, that's also another avenue to think about.
Yeah. Shout out to Eric in the chat, and then also Bosa, who says it was insane to read that. I can't believe, oh my gosh, my computer's starting to be really slow with me today. I can't believe that it happened at 37. Crazy that he wants to be back in the ring by mid-September. Something like that. He should take he should take the rest of the year off. I think it really also just depends on, doctors, what the doctors say and where your body's at. If you're in good health, like we're seeing a lot of wrestlers. We have Cena going at 50 something years old. We're seeing a lot of wrestlers, the number and the age is not what it used to be. Because I think if you think about it, I think Golden Girls, when you think of Golden Girls, they were in their 40s and look like they were in the 80s. So I think the health of where we are today is different, but it also just depends on his doctors. But he's also really, really healthy. So we'll see where it all kind of goes from there. Now, kind of jumping into Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar's return. So he said, Paul Heyman said, he's here and you ain't going to be able to cancel him, which some of us thought we weren't going to see Paul Heyman again. See Brock Lesnar again. Courtney, did you think we were going to see him again? And what do you think when we did see him?
It's kind of crazy because Christina and I were talking about this on Monday, and I was a little bit concerned with Brock Lesnar because with the case that's happening, I mean, come on, everybody knows what the case has been happening right now. And even though WWE legal cleared him, it's still an ongoing investigation and it has not been in the courts yet. And also, this is something to really consider. I mean, I get it because he's a box office draw. I get it. But at the same time, it's kind of like you have to figure out that fine line. And also with the fact, too, with everything happening and even like going into the interview with Paul Heyman telling people to get over it, I said, I don't think you would tell that to anybody who suffered from sexual assault to get over it, because that is a little bit tone deaf and a little bit insensitive. And also with the fact too, if you did not read the full lawsuit, because NBC released the report and his name appeared on there more than twice, 44 times to be exact. Like, the whole lawsuit is gruesome. You can watch it on your time because it's a lot to package. But I think that's something to really consider. And also, I mean, I get with Paul Heyman, he could say it, and he's been with Brock Lesnar since the beginning of his career, going back to 2002 when he first started. But I think you kind of have to figure out that fine line. And also, I was listening to Kayfabe last night, and Will was talking about this too. And I was also talking about this, Christina, on Monday. I think it's just something to really think about morality at this point and really kind of figure out, because, yeah, Brock is back, but at the same time, it's kind of like questioning the morality and everything else, and also seeing how some of your females talent feels, because women's wrestling is hot, but also thinking of how they feel about Brock Lesnar's return.
Victoria, what did you think?
So anyone who's seen my recaps knows I love Paul. Like, I think he's a genius in so many ways to this industry, but I think he might be misreading things a little bit. Because if you look at the article, his reason, he says, well, people were happy Brock's back. And he uses the pop he got at MetLife. Well, everyone knows when a wrestler comes back like that, they always get a pop, you know, but then when it settles in, what will his reaction be like tonight when he comes out? Now that people have really realized, oh no, this isn't just a one-off. He's going to be part of this like storyline moving forward. I think it was too soon. My personal opinion, I don't know why they did not wait until after the suit was settled, or he was released, you know, like he was proven not to be a part of it and they could release him from it. I just think it was really soon. And I don't think he's going to get the same pop tonight that he got at MetLife. I think there's going to be a shift, because we're seeing it, right? And even the commentary online of people being like, maybe not the right time. And on Real, they said over, you know, like 45% of the audience for pro wrestling now is female. And I think for people who have that large of a quantity of female viewers, I don't know how much they're taking them into consideration. I mean, I was like, oh no. And then I was like, oh, it's really him. And he also doesn't look personally that well, like in great shape. Like, he did not look like the Brock of old. Even my husband was kind of like, he looks kind of scruffy and not well waft, and like that's a little bit of Brock, but my husband's like, he doesn't seem like that big of a deal. So even his first presence to someone who's not actively knowing who he is, his reaction was like, I don't get this guy. I don't get why he's here.
Right. Well, I think, Courtney, you've been with me long enough to know the direction that I'm not that I agree with the direction, but I think there's a couple of things that we have to take into consideration. WWE, I don't think they do things just like, oh, we feel like Brock should come back. I think they definitely did some testing in the background as far as, you know, how will the audience perceive this? You know, for instance, if you take in, you know, RIP to him, Hulk Hogan, they still brought him back despite everything. But I think one of the reasons why they brought him back is he's still selling shirts. He's still selling merch. If he wasn't making any money for WWE at all, I think it would have been a different story. So that's one thing. Also, Courtney, you also said that people should go and read, and the key word is read, everything that's
Yes.
happening. And I think with wrestling, it's a form of escape. So it's oftentimes there are not as many people like us where it's like, oh, we watch wrestling, but we also want to kind of get in the nitty gritty to see what's happening, who's doing what's all the behind the scenes, because, you know, some people, you know, their lives, they just want the escape. They don't want the additional stuff. So for the average person to have read that, I highly doubt it. So I don't think they actually know what's going on, because even people were kind of clueless as to why people weren't, you know, they weren't favorable to Hulk Hogan when he passed away. People still didn't know what was going on. So I think there's that. And then circling back to the money, I just don't, I think if he wasn't a draw and he wasn't going to sell merch and he wasn't going to bring any type of money in, it would be a totally different story. And and that's, you know, I mean, you're seeing the ESPN, all these deals that I think we talked about it on Wednesday. All these deals that are happening with WWE is crazy. But it's kind of like, if there wasn't money involved and it wasn't, you know, TKO or WWE or Endeavor making money, or Netflix or ESPN, then none of these deals would be happening. And, you know, WWE's in a very good place. They're wanted by everybody. So I think Brock and Lesnar, they definitely did a tester, you know, to see where everything is. And yes, we have more women who are watching wrestling. But I would also wonder if we were to take that percentage of women, I think it was 45%, you said, Victoria, if they took that percentage of women and we were to ask them, you know, their feelings on Brock, would they know like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So I think there's that too. But on a moral compass, yeah, like it was too soon. But where we are headed in society right now, if you look at social media and stuff like that, I don't think the moral compass is what's happening. If you know, even look at, you know, no shade, but you know, even who Triple H was aligned with, just a couple days ago. So there's a lot of different things happening, and I think the main thing that WWE is really focusing on is the entertainment. They're here to entertain. All the other political stuff and everything else is, you know, almost like that's a you problem. You can feel however you want, but you know, the neighbor down the street's still going to buy his shirt.
Keyword money talks.
Yes,
money talks.
It sucks, but you know,
what was Eric Bischoff's book? Controversy breeds
cash.
Breeds cash.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's people who, you know, there's probably a group of individuals who like don't believe it, who might have kind of heard or read the headlines, and they're still a supporter, and they might even double down on wanting to see Brock. So, you know, yeah,
that is true.
It's interesting, and we'll see. And another thing you did point out, Victoria, is we'll see how it plays out tonight, because you still have, you know, Tessa Blanchard in some places. People are still screaming she's a racist. They did that to Hulk Hogan earlier this year. So you still have, you know, people who have feelings involved, but we'll see how it all plays out. I feel like if you have a whole stadium booing Brock, they might, you know, reconsider. It's very possible. Some interesting things I actually saw. I didn't even know that they were canceled. King of the Hill. They're doing a marketing. I didn't know they were canceled. I just thought they were like, you know, I feel like Simpsons has been going on. I feel like King of the Hill is going on too.
Still going.
Yeah, how much cartoons are watching. Marketing Blitz includes tie-ins with podcaster Theo Vaughn, WWE, Whataburger, which I think today's Whataburger Day, just FYI, NASCAR, and more happening. So, you know, we'll start with you, Courtney, as far as the PR side of things. We're seeing WWE dip their fingers or toes into every little thing as far as, you know, the ads within the PLEs and during the shows. And now you're seeing this kind of crossover with the cartoon, which is not the first time. No. What do you think? Where do you think there's going to be too much? Or how do you find that balance where it's like, okay, well, we're going to see it everywhere and that's okay?
I had to think a lot about this because I'm always happy wrestlers get exposure in the mainstream, but sometimes you have to think, is this a little bit too much? and you're taking away from other promotions that are trying to do opportunities. I mean, I'm happy with King of the Hill because, you know, if you remember when it was on Fox, it was like animation domination. It had The Simpsons, it had King of the Hill, all that good stuff. So I'm happy with the crossover, but sometimes it could be a little bit too much. I mean, it's great they have exposure because that has a crossover, but there are some things you're kind of taking away, especially when I think about AEW because they have Warner Brothers, they have HBO Max, and Tony Khan, I'm saying this, you better put some of your stars on the shows for HBO Max, please, because there's so much opportunity out there, and it's just going to create a conflict of interest, because that's where I kind of was concerned when ESPN acquired NFL Network, because even though WWE has a relationship with NFL Network, Tony Khan also works with the NFL team, and he is on NFL Network, and he talks to NFL insiders, and he's on the Rich Eisen show. Seth was on it, so it's like you don't want to have a cause of conflict, but sometimes it's like it's great, but sometimes you don't want to overexpose it, and kind of thinking like what area fits best.
Victoria, now kind of hearing this, does these crossovers make you want to support the brand? Like, will you go and watch King of the Hill or whatever cartoon once you kind of see this news, or does it move the needle for you?
I mean, it really like varies from thing to thing. I think, you know, like for me, when I was reading it, I'm like, oh, I like forgot about that show. Not really my style of show I would watch. However, if they wanted to bring back Celebrity Deathmatch, I would be like all for it. It'd be so fun. But it's the same thing when they do movies and different things. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense because I'm already watching a product I like, and that kind of ties in better. But sometimes it really doesn't. And with WWE, I worry about the oversaturation of sponsorships. Like, do we really need Slim Jim logos on the table? Does there need to be 6 million ads on that mat? Does every match have to be sponsored? Like, granted, I did want a drumstick during SummerSlam because they kept showing that drumstick walking around. But there becomes a point where, are you pushing things together that just don't make sense to make more money? And I think that's where you have to be careful.
It's interesting because I feel the same way. But then do you remember there was a time when they started introducing kind of placement ads within movies and, you know, music videos and stuff like that? And now for me, again, Courtney, you know, my, you know, questionable habits. As far as me, it's like I don't even notice it anymore. Like you can, I'll put it like this, even today, we were at the gym and there was an artist that's been in controversy. And one of the girls, she kept changing the music because the artist was playing. And I'm like, I'm here working out. I'm dying. I'm not even, the music's not registering who the artist is. And I feel it's the same way now, where it's like, I am the one who skips commercials. I'm the one like, okay, if I can't skip it, I'm going to go and do something else. So at first I thought it was too much, but then for me, it's just going to come to a point where I'm going to not even notice it, because you already have so many ads that are within the ring and all over. It's just like another day to me. So I don't know. And I think everybody's different. I think, you know, some people notice all the little things, and some people like me, like, all right, y'all going to do ads. I'm just going to make a mental note that this is just a part of the show and I'm not going to watch it. So I wonder if it will, like when they first introduced it, like the Prime water by the announce desk, it was a big thing. But now that we see it all the time, I wonder if they're going to get a return on the investment in the long term.
And also, if you notice on NXT, they now started putting the Maybelline logo just on the NXT ring. They didn't put it on any of the other rings.
Which is, yeah. And, you know, that 45% is really interesting, because I wonder how that, I don't want to say crossover, but I wonder one, if that was the intention of the higher ups at WWE, and then how they went about doing that, meaning that, you know, was it them placing more women in the shows, which is an easy lift because I'm going to watch it more if there's more women, But was that intentional, or was that like the just natural progression of where we are in society, where WWE is everywhere? And it is like a telenovela, let's be honest. So it's no different to me. So I wonder what do you Courtney, do you think that's what it was? Like that was the intent? Like, you know, when Women's Evolution started in year one, was it 7 years ago? Do you think that was the intention of them, or was that a unhappy accident that they've now gotten, you know, 44.5% of women watching?
That's really interesting, because I don't want to say they were intentional. I think they just wanted to do it just because it was already there. And plus, you already saw what happened 7 years ago. Like, the Women's Evolution at that time was hot as ever. And then at that time, Total Divas was still around. And then, of course, you had Total Bellas that was happening around. So you did also have that crossover where people who did not watch wrestling, but they watched Total Divas. They watched Total Bellas, and they ended up watching wrestling. So that's really kind of the star playing. And we actually were talking about this too after Evolution, because Triple H was a little funny during the press conference. Are we going to get another Evolution? So it was kind of like he was kind of not giving a direct answer on, are we going to get one? So that's also another thing to consider. But with the fact, I mean, look, I mean, if you're not going to give us an Evolution, I mean, when are you going to give us women to main event a PLE? When are you going to give us women to main event a WrestleMania or one of the big fours?
Victoria, yeah, what do you think of everything that's happening, or what can they do to change to make more women watch?
I think highlighting the women is key, because even if I don't know, I'm in the corner of TikTok where I have the people who like discover wrestling, and they're like, I just saw wrestling and tell me all this stuff. And it's a lot of women. And one of the things they echo a lot is, wow, like I saw Rhea Ripley and she's strong and beautiful, or I saw this match and they were like throwing each other around and it was amazing. And I think too, it makes sense, right? Like, as a woman, I mean, even one of my dearest friends, Chloe, will say when we talk about wrestling, she doesn't watch it, but she's a pageant girl with me. And she's like, it's a lot like a pageant. There is costumes, there is presentation, there's all these things. So if you're interested in anything like theater, like watch wrestling, because it has all those pieces to it. So I think it was like a happy accident where, if I'm guessing, they saw a return on investment and they started to lean in a little bit more. And like the women in NXT, if you watch NXT, are amazing. Like a lot of them could go to the main roster every day. So they just have a wonderful feeder system for amazing women to do this product. And even other, you know, like you look at what is going on in TNA right now, or you look at, I would say, AEW's female roster, like, are phenomenal. There's some phenomenal athletes. Toni Storm, again, talk about theater, being involved in like in wrestling, right? So I just think it was a happy accident that they leaned in, because for a while, I mean, like the Divas Revolution came from the fact that they were getting 2-minute matches and people were appalled by it. Even men were appalled, and they knew they could do more.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where hey Dylan, hey cousin Ron, hey Pachu. It's gonna be interesting to see, because they've done so much. Even when I often tell this story, when Women's Wrestling Talks first started 7+ years ago, I was so worried that, because we were just an interview show and we used to do live interviews every week, and I was worried that we were gonna run out of women. Like I was like, after 3 years, I don't know. And after, the professor calls it the pandemic babies, where we had a boom of wrestlers come from the pandemic, specifically a lot of women. So I think it's in good hands, especially with WWE leading the way, and what TNA has done in the past as well with the knockouts. So we have Bosa saying women are ready in NXT, or are ready in NXT, moving up faster than the men, it feels like. Or if there is men ready, they can't move up because the men's roster in NXT is so damaged. Well, I think the men's NXT roster is coming up. I would say that was the case a year ago. I think the men's roster for NXT is now getting to that point where it's just as good as the women. A year ago, the women were just definitely dominating, but I think the storytelling of it all, it's coming together.
It's starting to come into place because, you have Javon Evans. He wants to challenge Oba for the NXT title. Ethan Page, he's just running with that NXT North American Championship. Just embrace his Canadian heritage, and also adding Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis to the mix. So that is bringing a lot of prestige into that. And also with the fact, too, you also had Moose coming in, because we did not think he would come back again within NXT. So there's also that partnership as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing some guys from the TNA roster come into it, because we already saw the Hardys, Joe Hendry, Mike Santana. So
a lot of good things happening.
Yes.
Speaking of good things happening, you want to give us the breakdown of what's happening tonight on SmackDown, Courtney?
Yeah. So give me 1 second. So SmackDown tonight will be in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Since we were talking about Canada a few minutes ago, top of the hour with my sister, Honey. She will be doing the Honey Night SmackDown, and she'll be buzzing with all the details happening. And courtesy of Nick Aldis, we got some announcements happening. Of course, John Cena will be in the house tonight. We're also going to hear from the new WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And also we got confirmed by Nick Aldis, the Motor City Machine Guns will be taking on members from the MFT. Don't know which members are taking on, but those are the 3 that are advertised for tonight on SmackDown, top of the hour with Honey Night SmackDown.
Yeah, definitely go and check out Honey. It's going to be a great show leading to, I forgot to put that graphic, leading into Friday night. Is there any matches, Victoria, that you are looking to see, or anything you're looking forward to for SmackDown?
So I am very curious still about the reaction to Brock and how that's going to go over. I'm curious to see. I'm also wondering if we're going to get a Kevin Owens sighting. We have not seen him. Obviously, he's out in injury, but they are in his backyard. I think it would be wonderful just to see him for a moment. And of course, I can't wait to see Cody. And my big question is, like, what direction are they taking these storylines in now? If you finish up this huge thing, I did not think they were going to take the belt off of Cena yet. I was a little surprised at SummerSlam. So,
same.
Who does Cody have if he's not turning heel, or is he turning heel to face? Are we finally going to get him and Randy Orton in like an actual title battle? Is that the next thing for him? Or like, what is it going to be? Is CM Punk going to show up and like decide to shift gears? It's just like, I feel like we're in this place where I don't know where they're going with Cody next, quite honestly. And I'm hoping they start laying it out a little bit for us. We know where Cena's going. I mean, it's very clear where he's going in the storyline. And I always love Machine Guns. So I'm just excited to see them on the show. I think they're fabulous. I wish they got the belts at SummerSlam. I just adore them. I'm very partial to them. I think their in-ring is just amazing. I'm a big Hardy Boys girl, like Team Extreme were mine back in the day, and they just echo that look for me, and I just love it.
Courtney, what are you looking forward to?
Well, obviously, the aftermath from TLC. I want to know what happens with all the tag teams, where they're going to go with this, especially where they're going to do with the Wyatt Six, because that was a phenomenal match that happened on SummerSlam this past weekend. I'm also curious on what's next going to be for Miss Tiffany Stratton. Who's going to be the next person in line to challenge for her belt, because she's already held the belt for over 200 days. So we'll see what happens with Miss Tiffy has to say. And also, like everybody said, I'm very curious on what direction Cody's going to go, because it looks like Aleister Black's going to be feuding with Damian Priest. Don't know what we're going to do with R-Truth, or should I say Ron Killings, because he changed his name to Ron Killings. Don't know what we're going to do with him, but we shall see who's going to be the next person in line for Cody's belt. And yes, Dylan, there is going to be a payout for the ladies involved, because I was happy to see my Poison Little Pixie, Kansas LeRae, taking that bump. Also seeing B-Fab in there.
So many good things. We could also kind of go into your area of expertise. Gates of Agony has resigned with AEW per Fightful Select. They've confirmed that. So what do you think is going to, because they were actually doing I'm like so behind. My birth season has taken up a lot of time, but they were actually doing a lot of stuff on ROH as well. I remember them being a really they had a great storyline happening there. That was a couple months back. So what do you think is going to happen with this resign, and what if you were their PR advocate, what would you do with them?
This is actually really interesting because just to catch everybody to speed, they were in Ring of Honor, but they're also with Ricochet. They're also with Ricochet because it looks like there's alliance with them. And also, I want to see where this goes with Ricochet. I think this will be nice for him. I just hope they don't make it like his goon squads or his cronies, like make him into a vicious tag team, because we saw what they can do when they faced off against the Hurt Syndicate the first time around when they challenged for the AEW World Tag Team titles. I really want to see them be one of the challengers to step up to the plate. I wouldn't mind if they go round 2. Depending, I mean, I could see the Hurt Syndicate running through the titles throughout the end of 2025, but I wouldn't mind seeing them go it again, and also seeing, you know, if they're gonna go for some gold, I wouldn't mind seeing Ricochet get some gold, because it would be very interesting to see how this plays out. But congratulations again to the Gates of Agony, and seeing where they go, and also congratulations Bishop Khan too, because he actually did win a singles title from Ashe Wrestling.
Oh, congratulations to congratulations to him with that.
Yes.
Victoria, as far as Gates of Agony are concerned, all right, do you think this is
I was very excited. I love tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling is, to me, my favorite one. Like, it was the thing I loved in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's what kept me interested in wrestling for as long as it did. So I'm always like, the more well-rounded tag teams there can be on a roster, like, give me all of them, please. And I do think, especially with Hurt Syndicate, they need strong tag teams right now. And Gates of Agony is there, right? They've done good matches with them.
They're right there.
It could be a really nice rivalry for them, and that's important, right? You can't have champions unless you have people for them to feud with, or the championships are just shiny belts.
Very, very true. Another AEW news, Courtney, AEW Dynamite draws 711,000 viewers on cable TV, second highest viewership in 2025. I feel like when I say this, it's like, I feel like you are the representative and Tony should hire you. But if he does hire you, I don't want you to, I want you to keep the schedule for WWT in addition to. But anyways, I digress. I feel like you out of all people in the WWT world would be happy for this. What do you think they did, or what did they do to draw this big gate?
If you saw the rest of the article, because it showed the top 5 videos on YouTube. MJF and Hangman beating the crap out of each other. Darby Allin kidnapping Wheeler Yuta, which that was one of my favorites. I just love seeing Darby Allin destroy the Death Riders. And unfortunately, even though she has 8 belts, Mercedes Moné is in the building. You can't deny her of that. I mean, look, she got 8 belts. You can't deny her of that. I mean, she just has a presence. Yes, I said it. She has a presence in AEW. I will give her credit on that. But also too, they are doing it consistently, and I think now they're starting to stay in their lane. I do want to keep my fingers crossed, because Tony always says something out of the blue. But I want to give a shout out to the ladies this past week, because we do have a representative from AEW in that TBS title. My newest client, Alex Winsar, will be in that fatal 4-way match. But not this image in particular I was worried about. It was actually this image in particular between Athena and Mercedes, because these two I met before, but it looks like it could possibly be an alliance between them, because they do have a common enemy in Tony Storm, and also along with Alex Winsar as well. So that also is going to add a little bit to the fray, but I'm very curious on what these two have, because of course they have a common enemy, but that's something to pay attention to. And I would not be shocked if it's a tag team match between these two against Tony and Alex, especially heading into Forbidden Door, where Tony has to defend her title against Athena. We're also going to see Alex Winsor in the Fatal 4-way match for the TBS title.
My God, MDB. I can't. I'm not even.
I'm not even gonna. I mean, I can do that. MDB, just to be fair, because just because she's married to Will Ospreay doesn't mean she slept her way to the top. And if you knew her story, she's one of the best wrestlers out in the UK. I just want to be very clear on that. And also, she has a very incredible story being a mother, and she did she did everything that she can. And also with the fact too, you can look her up because she's well known in the UK. She wrestled in one of the women independent scenes in the UK, and she's also a former Rev Pro women's champion. So let's just be very clear on that. But, and also with the fact too, this is not her first rodeo, MDB. This is not her first rodeo. So she's wrestled in AEW and Ring of Honor before. She's also wrestled against Athena for the Ring of Honor women's title twice. And even though she lost, I could see her and Athena going round 3. So she's been a wrestler. She's been through it all. And also, I'm not saying that's just because she's my client, but following her story, she seems pretty good. So you kind of need to tone that down because Alex Windsor is here to stay, and also seeing what she can do. I don't know what's going to happen at Forbidden Door. I mean, I would like for her to be Ring of Honor champion instead of TBS, but we shall see on that. But that's all I'm going to say about Alex Windsor.
Oh my gosh, Maria's comment. Beast this is the one who slept his way to the top. Oh my gosh, Maria. Wow. As far as where AEW is going now, Victoria, I don't know if you're because it's hard to watch it all. Not at all meaning AEW, just wrestling in general. There's so much wrestling. So I don't know where you are on the spectrum of your wrestling watch week. If you get to watch everything, you're one of the lucky ones, or you pick and choose. But where AEW is right now, this success that they have with the viewership, do you think they're on the right path?
So I do not get to watch AEW that much. My running thing is my husband's like, there's only so many hours of wrestling you can use the TV for. Like, I get the TV sometimes. So sadly, Wednesday nights, even though I did just get Max, because Courtney has been influencing me over and over again. She is my, like, the little bird in my ear constantly. But I mean, good ratings for them, for me, like, all wrestling doing good means all wrestling will do well, right? Like, I want people to have as much ability to get whatever kind of flavor of wrestling they want. I think, like, what I've seen when I've skipped into AEW is I feel like are getting more consistent about, like, what their product is and kind of, like, figuring out, like, what's working for them. Also, I try to get in because, sadly, I love Dustin Reynolds. Really sad he's injured right now, but just adore him to the moon and back. So I just think AEW's roster is getting better and better. I think them investing in their women's wrestling, again, is amazing as someone who loves women's wrestling. And I think they really are starting to figure out, like, what is working for their audience and keeping their audience engaged. So I'm always happy.
They just need to be consistent. Yeah.
I mean, I think the time that AEW came, like when they first kind of had the pay-per-view in Chicago, it was a big thing because it was so refreshing from the version of WWE that we were used to, the tail end of Vince McMahon. And then, AEW went bigger and they signed all these amazing talents. And then I think we had so much hope for it. But what we failed to realize is that everybody, regardless if you are a baby coming out of the womb, a new business or whatever, everybody has to start somewhere, and you're not going to start being perfect and you're not going to start being great. So it's like, and we're in this era now where everybody has an opinion, everybody can give their opinion in social media, this podcast, etc. That it could be harsh. And just let them grow, let them succeed or let them fail, but they're going to do it let them do it on their own. So I agree with you, Victoria, as far as, like, all wrestling is good wrestling right now. And, we can give their opinion. Will they listen to us? Who knows? Will they listen to Courtney? They should. But we'll see where it goes. There's a lot more time compared to where WWE is right now. And how many years WWE's been in the game. There's a lot more time to kind of learn and grow and succeed. Somebody who's going to be putting in more time, Jim Ross, he says his AEW contract expires this month, but he has no plans to leave the company. Do you think he's going to maintain his position, or do they have something bigger for him? I'll go to Courtney because, you know, I think Courtney has the ear to the ground as far as AEW.
And also, to be fair, MD, if you don't like the product, don't watch AEW. It's not that hard. If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's really not that hard. Yeah. It's not that bad.
I think he's ribbing you right now. If you the tone down a little bit. We know your opinion. But yeah,
I mean, it's not that hard. Just turn off the channel. But with JR, he's been struggling with health issues. Like, he just beat cancer, and I'm very happy that he is starting to feel a lot better. I would think he would stay in AEW because he has been. I don't want to be petty about this, because he has been a lot better. He's been respected a lot more better, and he's not doing as much commentary as he was because, as I mentioned, he's been battling health issues. But he is doing commentary in the main event. I'm happy they are saving him for occasionally for the main event on the pay-per-view stage, especially giving the limited travel that he has to do. And plus, it's always good to see JR. It's always good to see JR. I love seeing him do commentary. It may not be the stuff that we grew up with, the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression era, but he is starting to feel a lot more relaxed. And also, I'm very happy him, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur. Sometimes Taz will jump in, and maybe if you throw in Nigel McGuinness, he'll throw in with his wits as well. But it's always nice to see JR, and I'm happy he's really in a happy spot.
Yeah, very, very true. Do you have any fond memories of JR, Victoria?
Oh, yeah. So I always say JR, Jerry the King Lawler, Lillian Garcia are like voices of my childhood, right? And especially that, like, I can, anytime I see Stone Cold, in the back of my mind, I can just hear JR screaming, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. He just made some of those matches come to life. I'm so happy to see him still involved. I love getting to see him when we do. I think he is a treasure in wrestling that we should always treasure. I do like them using him sparingly, especially just because of his age. Like, I don't think he should be out there trying to do a full show. I don't think that's good for his health overall. But I love getting to hear his voice. I would love to see, especially with the Max thing, if they started to do more like retrospective or behind the scenes, or like, I would love to hear, he has such a mind for this business, to hear more of like his insights somehow in a way that he could control it, right? It could be in the studio. He could take as much time as he needed, just thinking of his age and his health struggles. I just would love to capture some more of his knowledge, because there's so much of it. And yeah, I hope he, as long as he is healthy to do this, I want him to be able to do this, because he's just amazing.
Sounds good. Thank you. Pay raise 2 cents for the donation. Really appreciate it. It keeps Women's Wrestling Talk going. There's so many other projects that we'll get into before we end the show that, you know, we're helping to support women's wrestling. Another thing we could talk about. So Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton has become the Undertaker of the locker room. Victoria, what do you think of this statement?
Who would ever have thought the Randy Orton of old would be the locker room leader? I can definitely see it. I think he loves this business. Even when he talks about it, he always says he doesn't want to go to Hollywood. That wasn't what he wanted. He wanted to be the best at this. So I could definitely see him taking on that role. I think he has matured so much. I'm a huge Randy Orton fan. I had a crush on him back in the day. I still think he's gorgeous, and he is so smart. And he also is just a great wrestler for TV. He knows where the cameras are. He can teach so much about how to sell, how to play to the cameras, but also the audience that's there live. So I'm happy to see he's kind of taking on that role. And like, who would have thought though, like Randy Orton is like a mature man who is taking a lead in the locker room.
Yeah. So the statement exactly was, so Cody Rhodes said, you're talking about Randy Orton, who is currently kind of, I don't think Undertaker would dislike this, but he really has become the Undertaker of the locker room. If there was a real problem, probably going to go to Randy or Seth. little Brody might come to TV with me sometimes, and I'll tell him, go say hi to Randy. That's number one. Same way my brother, when the one time I came to WWE show back in the day, hey, you want to go meet Undertaker? So, I mean, so many good things happening with this. So what do you think of, I guess, Courtney, what else is there for Randy to do?
Well, I mean, whew, I would love for him to get at least King of the Ring, because I think that's one of the accolades he didn't get. And it's crazy because I remember first watching him in like 2002, 2003 when he first came on and was with Evolution, and he was like this asshole that nobody liked. And I remember when he was Intercontinental Champion, of course, when he won the world title at SummerSlam in 2004, but just seeing the growth and the transition that Randy Orton has. And he also talked about his father and his grandfather being huge influences in his wrestling career, and not just getting the ring. I would love to see him get another world title. I would love that. And just seeing some of the reigns he had when he was world heavyweight champion, WWE champion, it would be really great. And seeing him be a leader in that locker room. And also, I'm very curious on what's going to happen tonight for SmackDown too. Like, what's next for Randy after the tag team match with him and Jelly Roll against Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, that was an interesting match. Dylan saying, what's next for Randy? Give him the main title and put him in the Hall of Fame. Definitely agree with all of that. We have Dominic Mysterio on possibly facing Rey Mysterio in AAA, which is going to be happening next week. And they have a big show happening next week, which we may 90% sure we'll have a watch along for. What do you think of this? Because I feel like they did a healthy moment of separation. Obviously, they came in together Dominic came in as a tag team with his dad. We saw all it happen. We saw him turn on his dad. It was actually a really great turn, which led to the Dominic Mysterio we have right now. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think eventually, Dominic will become a good son to Rey? Or what do you think the storyline will be for this, Victoria?
Ray, I did see you, so thank you. Also, I would love to see them revisit the two of them together, only because I feel like Dominic has just gotten better and better in the ring. Like, as good as their match was at WrestleMania a few years ago and that storyline, I could see it even being better. And he's getting baby face reactions from people. And what an easy way to turn him into a face again. Imagine them having a match. They're both really great in the ring. Rey is a genius. We all know that. But to do it at AAA, to do it at Lucha, and them to come back at the end, I think could be a really phenomenal way of doing it. I don't know, though, if they could get it together quickly enough. I don't think they're ready for him to leave Judgment Day yet. So I feel like I would wait to have that match at a point where you knew he was going to leave Judgment Day. This is kind of his way of skirting out. But yeah, I definitely think I would love to see them in the ring together somehow, some way. And I think if you were going to totally turn him face, that would be a very easy and heartwarming way to do it.
Courtney, what are you hoping to see from this coming in into next weekend?
It's going to be very interesting to see because there's a lot of story that needs to be told within the Judgment Day. Because if Dominic wins, he will hold 2 belts. And that would pretty much cause a little bit of stir within the Judgment Day. Because yes, Finn has gold, and Roxanne and Raquel just lost their belts. And Dom 2 belts. Come on now. Could you even see him be holding the 2 belts in the air? And I know some of our co-hosts on here says he's the greatest luchador and the greatest Mysterio. But Victoria, I'll tell you later. But we have some people who think Dominic's the greatest luchador and he's the greatest Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio is a deadbeat dad. But that'll happen soon. I think with Dom, because at first he was like a heel. And everybody did not like him. He couldn't even speak if you gave him the microphone. He couldn't even speak. Now it's like he's still getting boos, but at that AAA event and even at SummerSlam, they were cheering for him. They were absolutely cheering for him. So I'm just saying, I mean, if he wins that title next weekend, Dirty Dom 2 belts.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because you know, the theory, I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago when Liv got injured. It's like, okay, well, Liv is in a good position because she has something to come to. You know, I didn't expect them to drop the tag team titles, which is interesting as far as what they're going to do with that. But yeah, I feel like they can't blow up Judgment Day until Liv comes back. However, WWE seems like they have, if you like watched Unreal and how they plan throughout, like for the year, and I think they even plan further out from that depending on the story, you know, barring nobody gets injured. I feel like there's still a plan. They might have pivoted a little bit, but I think there's still a plan that, you know, it doesn't blow up until Liv comes back. Because if it does blow up before Liv comes back, then it's just kind of like, where does she go now? You know, you can't really hate on Roxanne if Roxanne is now solo, and you know, Dominic is now 2 belts. Like, it's just I feel like there has to be a little bit of a placeholder for her.
I was gonna say something too, because you mentioned Raquel and Roxanne, and they were talking about this kayfabe last night, and I was thinking about this too. I think it would help them to get singles gold, especially for that women's intercontinental title picture, because since Lyra is not, she can't wrestle for the belt as long as Becky's champion. Becky's gonna be wrestling Maxine on Monday. Somewhere down the line, she's going to face off against the Boat. And also, I could see either Roxanne or Raquel going for that belt. Or actually, better yet, I do see Roxanne probably for the women's intercontinental.
That's what I was about to say.
I would like to see Raquel go for that main title picture. I would love to see her go one-on-one with Naomi, since Rhea's kind of in a little bit of because I don't know what they're going to do with her because she lost already. And also, Naomi is getting ready for Stephanie Vaquer in a couple weeks at Clash in Paris. So I would not mind seeing Roxanne at least not get a title shot, but I would like to see her go one-on-one to get a lick on it with either Naomi or maybe Io. Well, she faced off against Io previously, but possibly Becky I could see, just to get her in that foot wet for singles gold.
Could you imagine if she won gold and like Liv comes back and she's a women's champion?
Oh my God, that would be insane.
I would lose my mind if I were Liv. I'd be like, everything has changed, and I came back and everything is no longer the same. As far as that, we also have the four-way knockouts tag team title bout, the Hardys versus the Rascals for the World Tag Team Champions titles, and more added to TNA Emergence happening August 15th, which is, so we have Emergence, we have AAA. I feel like, is there something else happening next weekend, Courtney? Like, I feel like it's one of those weekends where everything is happening at the same time.
I mean, those are the two things. I mean, outside of SmackDown, it's just these two.
Okay, I feel, and this is a good this is going to be a good show. As far as the four-way, is there anything, Victoria, that you're looking forward to for Emergence?
I lost my mind a little bit when Inspiration came back. I will be like totally honest. I was so excited when I saw them. I adore them. I think they're great as a tag team. I love a four-way. I think you can do so many different things in it, and you have so many different like variables to play with that I would love to see. I don't know. I have a gut feeling Fatal Influence is going to keep, because I think they have more ideas to do with them. But I would like, if Inspiration won, I might also lose it again, because I love them. I think they're such a great tag team, and I think they're going to elevate everyone they work with.
How about yourself, Courtney?
I actually kind of want to watch this next weekend, because I'm looking at the card here, because there's some really good matches. Is this one Cedric Alexander versus Leon Slater for the X Division title? That's a match I want to see. Of course, the Hardys against the Rascals. But this match in particular, because I feel like if they really, really want to do this partnership, because as much as I know, Dylan, I would love for the Inspiration to win. I wouldn't mind seeing Fatal Influence, because could you imagine them getting all the gold, like JC getting the 2 belts,
Oh man,
Fallon and Jasmine getting the TNA Knockouts belts? I mean, that would be interesting, and also kind of prove the dominance in a way. So, I mean, if Will was here, because he's Mr. NXT, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he would probably like lose his mind a bit. But that could be really interesting if Fatal Influence had all the gold, and also making a terror not just on NXT but also TNA.
Yeah, that would, and this is exactly what I was gonna say, Bosa. That would piss off people and think that TNA is getting screwed in this partnership. If the third title is NXT, I kind of agree. And then how do you go about, I mean, getting it off of them, like the storyline with that? Because yeah, it does seem kind of like, okay, this is gonna be hypothetically, if it'll influence. I like the story. If we didn't have TNA, or sorry, if we didn't have NXT as far as brand in play, I like the concept of Fatal Influence winning. But it's the fact that we have so many titles that are owned, like that are by NXT folks. That's just kind of like TNA invasion angle. That might be interesting, where they like essentially go and take back everything and just beat down everybody.
I don't see why not. And plus, with the fact too, their next pay-per-view is in October with Bound for Glory.
Right.
Listen, they have to do better than the last invasion angle. I'm having like flashbacks to when WCW went under, and it was horrible. So like, I believe in TNA though. I think they could do it well.
They definitely.
And plus, a lot of people are going to be rooting for TNA to win some titles. They're going to be rooting for them to win, because I know everybody's kind of, but it's the first year of partnership between NXT and TNA. It's the first year of partnership, and there's going to be a lot of stories to tell. And also with the fact too, I wouldn't mind, like I said, I wouldn't mind Fatal Influence, because that's when the chase, and also him. I know it may not happen, but I wouldn't mind seeing the Inspiration cross the NXT line.
I would love to see that.
I mean,
because they did such a great job in WWE. I feel like a lot of people, not a lot of people, the people who've been watching for a long time, they know who, like, what they did. But I think people who are kind of like fans who just kind of came new to TNA and WWE, etc., they might not know you know, all the things Inspiration did in WWE. So I feel like that would be a great crossover.
I'm manifesting that. I wouldn't mind seeing the Inspiration go to NXT. I'm manifesting that moment.
Okay. Just FYI news, also with TNA, Casey Navarro got kicked out of First Class after announcing a torn ACL injury on TNA Impact. He's going to be replaced by Rich Swann. So I actually, just that picture alone, I need to find time to watch TNA. I'm missing out. So what do you think is going to happen with this? Because it's not new. Rich has been part of First Class before. So what do you think is going to happen now with this kind of re-edition of Rich Swann?
It's going to be very interesting to see, because this is not the first time Rich Swann has been with First Class, and also with the fact too, last time he was on TNA, he had to deal with issues outside of the ring, but it looks like it's been cleared, and he's back in. And also, I think this will set up Casey Navarro as a babyface, because I don't want to give too much, but AJ Francis had some not nice things to say about Casey, calling him the weakest link of First Class, and there was a lot of pettiness towards it, but I wouldn't mind seeing that. But also, it's really interesting to see, because I know Trick Williams aligned himself with First Class, so I'm very curious how this shift is going to work.
Victoria?
Oh no, that's a good point. I forgot about that alignment that had happened. Well, you know, injuries always stink, right? And getting kicked out and having to pivot to something new. I think Casey will be back. I think it could turn into a really cool storyline when he does come back, about him feuding with them, about him getting kicked off. With that though, I think that Rich Swann is good at what he does. Like Swan's been in there before, right? So it's not like it's going to be hard for him to meld back into a group again. I think how you tell that story moving forward is going to be key, to just like keep it alive. And again, like we were talking earlier about another injury, right? Like Casey just needs to still figure out a way to stay relevant while he's healing up.
And he wrestled in Slammiversary during that tag team match while he had a knee brace on.
Man, people better put respect on these wrestlers' names. They put their bodies on the line for us. With that being said,
it's all fake.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was. I'm like slowly, because somebody's like, "Oh, just watch the highlights of SummerSlam." I was like, "No, I need to watch all of it." So I am like halfway through the second day, and it's been amazing. I'm thoroughly pleased. I'm low key. If I can make things move in the world, I'd move SummerSlam to this weekend, so it wouldn't land on my birthday. But that's just more of a personal. With that being said, just as you guys can read at the bottom, and for my folks who are listening to us on all audio platforms, which you should be, make sure you get those downloads up. Women's Wrestling Talk, we have a really big project that we've been working on. So women's wrestling has come a long way, but we can't let the history fade away. The Women's Wrestling Archive is dedicated to preserving the stories, matches, and legacies of women who paved the way and those breaking barriers today. We're building a digital home where fans, historians, and wrestlers can connect, learn, and celebrate the women who shaped this sport. Your support will help us launch our platform on January 1st, 2026. Every dollar goes a long way. So you can go to womenswrestlingarchive.com to donate, whether it's $1, $5, or more. We would greatly appreciate it. It essentially any wrestler that you can think of beyond WWE, AEW, TNA, pretty much anybody from the indies, from the beginning of women's wrestling to now and beyond, will be documented on this archive. So you can find every woman wrestler that you can think of. And it's like, oh, wait, what happened to, if you guys know who Chris Wolf is. If you guys don't, you can go to Women's Wrestling Archive to check her out. She had a really great career overseas. So definitely, we really, really would love your support in that. So you can check out womenswrestlingarchive.com for that. With that being said, I'm really the full week we've had all women on. This is a first for WWT. This is a first since we started this show.
We kicked off with me. We kicked off with me, Christina, on Monday, and now we end the week.
There it is. So we loved having you on the show, Victoria. For those who are not following you, please tell them where they can follow you and what projects you might have.
Absolutely. Well, this was so much fun. I always love talking wrestling. You can find me on basically every platform at Victoria Waco, just my full name. And you'll see a lot of wrestling content. I like to give you my highs and lows after all of the live shows, and also some pageant content because it's still part of my world. And you will see my fur babies pop up every once in a while. I'm honestly shocked they haven't popped up during this yet.
I mean, my dog, she's like hot. So she's like, I'm staying on the floor as long as possible. Courtney, where can everybody find you?
The people can find me at Alex Windsor deserves to stay in AEW. I said it. She deserves to stay in AEW. I'm just that's what I'm saying. But in all seriousness, the people can find me chirping periodically Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on WWT Live as I can. Wednesdays, it's Timeless Elite Wednesdays with me because I be covering AEW Dynamite with all of you. And, well, they're going to be in Ohio next week. So there's going to be a lot on the road to Forbidden Door. So there is a lot happening. You can also follow me on at Courtney NJ11 because there's a lot of busyness. I am going to post my interviews with Francine and Indy Hartwell from WrestleCon last weekend into this weekend. Also, lots of stuff happening, not just wrestling wise, but also like Victoria, I do pageant stuff as well. So we got a lot of stuff happening. Also, make sure to follow ISPW, where yours truly is on the call. Just have to see because they do have a lot of shows happening. So if you are in Jersey, please say hello. And also, August is a special month because later this month is my 1-year anniversary of WWT.
There it is. Well, congratulations on 1 year. You've definitely made an impact, holding it down for us, especially during the summer, because my coach said my breast season's getting kind of out of control, which I agree. There's so much stuff going on. But shout out to Eric, shout out to Bosa in the chat. Shout out to Pachu, Dylan. Who else is that? Maria joining us at LFG earlier. Hassan. Who else is in here?
Our wonderful mayor popped in, said for a bit.
Yeah, the mayor popped in, said you can get your body butter if you come to my birthday party on Sunday. MDB 999, thank you for joining. So I appreciate you guys all so much. Definitely want to lock it in 45 minutes. Honey is going to have the watch along for SmackDown. We also have, like Courtney is saying, we have our AEW watch along show happening on Wednesdays. We also have our LFG show. We're currently on episode number 4. We're going to be doing episode number 4 next week. We have our WoW post show. We have our Raw post show. So we have a lot of different things happening, a lot of original programming and interviews that are going to be dropping as well. So much that is going to be happening on WWT. Definitely keep it locked. With that being said, you can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad, and make sure you follow Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms and audio platforms at www.talkpod.com. Thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.